All right, it's fair to say that in jolly old England, they do not see Donald Trump as the fifth Beatle. In fact, they want to ban him, or they're debating banning him. Parliament meeting as we speak right now to discuss just that after his Muslim comments that it triggered such rage globally. The fact that they were calling it bigoted, that he wouldn't be welcome as a leader on the world stage, wouldn't be welcome in Britain, period. Ashley Webster on this debate and where it's going. Ashley.
I love the fifth Beatle, you know, John, Paul, George, Ringo and Donald. No, he's not going to be the fifth Beatle, Neil. Some of the words, I'm just watching the live blog that's being done from Westminster Hall. This is where this is all taking place. It's a secondary debating chamber. It's not even the main one, which kind of gives you an idea that it's not a huge deal. It's getting a lot of attention. But whatever they decide, these members of Parliament, it's not binding. It doesn't mean anything. They're not going to vote on banning Donald Trump. It's really just an excuse for politicians to get up there and have their say and try and appeal to their constituents. But some of the names that have been used to describe Donald Trump so far, they're about an hour into this 3-hour debate. Some of those words are poisonous, corrosive, extremely dangerous, repulsive even. Labour MP Paul Flynn says that, look, we may not like him, we may not like what he stands for, but he says banning Trump would turn him into a martyr. And it also says, many of the MPs have said, look, we do not want to be seen as anti-American. This all began with a petition with over 500,000 signatures saying, look, he should be banned for his comments saying that Muslims should be temporarily banned from coming into the United States. That, by some critics, is hate speech, and that is illegal in the United States. However, a Conservative MP this morning, or I should say this afternoon, Sir Edward Lee said, look, free speech means the right to offend people. He calls Mr. Trump a ridiculous figure, quote unquote, but says he has every right to offend people and have his say. There are also concerns that why should the UK be getting involved in American politics? Some MPs say Mr. Trump should come over to the UK and debate with MPs so that they can at least express their concerns about how he is conducting his campaign in the United States. And don't get me started on Scotland, Neil, mainly because you'll start doing a Scottish accent. I don't want to get into it.
You know what I'm hearing loud and clear here, buddy? What an apologist you are for these malcontents. I mean, really. It's like, wow. I mean, you're offering every excuse in the book. Oh, this isn't expected to go anywhere.
It isn't.
We don't think it is. Well, please.
Hey, come on, give me a break.
Right,
I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm right there with you, Neil.
I don't believe that. You and Varney have both claimed that. I don't think you are. I think you're spies.
That's outrageous.
All right, I'm sorry. Wait until we go to your next time. Thank you. Come on, that's pretty good.
It's better, but it's still not good.
Okay, a little hurtful.
Keep working on it.
Ashley Webster, and now and then again, citizen of the United States. All right, we read on all of this from former National Security Advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney, John Hanna. John, where is this going, and what does it say? I could think of a variety of things a major Western powers, Parliament and government should be taking up than this, but what do you think?
Well, I hate to say it, Neil, but I agree with Ashley. I think this is a tempest in a teapot. It's really absurd. I don't agree with Donald Trump's proposal on banning all Muslims temporarily, but I agree even less with what the British Parliament is doing in terms of wasting time, taxpayer money, and resources to let these politicians bloviate and
yeah, but
interfere.
He couldn't admit that. He couldn't admit that because he's in the hip pocket of these Parliament members. But in your case, you're just saying, you know, it's letting some steam off here. But what I fear is that it's also robbing England of a chance to address the refugee mess and many other messes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it is. If anything, it's an indicator of how low a once former great international power and democracy has kind of sunk, because Britain, let's face it, does have some serious problems, and I think it has some serious problems in terms of its own indigenous Muslim communities that are really, as a result of multiculturalism, disaffected from the broader society. There are more British Muslims that have joined up to fight with ISIS than to fight in the British military. And, of course, they've got the broader problem in Europe. And Britain is a member of the EU. They're not a member of of the Schengen zone, so they don't have quite the refugee problem that the rest of Europe has. But listen, they're tied to Europe, and if Europe fractures, destabilizes, and weakens, then Britain is going to be in a whole lot worse shape as well. They ought to be focusing on that, not on the leading contender for the Republican nomination in the United States.
You know, the British Prime Minister was talking about just an idea, he just raised it, I think in an interview, about making sure Muslim women speak English. He's been trying to dial that back. What did you make of that?
Yeah, no, I mean, David Cameron has actually been forward-leaning on identifying and naming the problem within British society, that British Muslims of the second and third generation are not integrating into British society.
Yeah, but they're already calling him a bigot. They're already saying he's worse than Donald Trump, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, no, so it's of course surprising that he's, or maybe not surprising that he's taken this opportunity of Donald Trump to demonstrate how tolerant and open-minded he in fact is, that his assault on Muslim communities inside of Britain and their effort to separate from British society is somehow different and more acceptable than what Trump is doing.
All right, thank you very, very much. Good to see you again, John.
You too, Neil. Thank you.
All right, well,